Hey everyone, welcome to Creative Conversations. My name is Blake Shaw, and I'm talking on behalf of Summer of the Arts today. Creative Conversations is a series that Summer of the Arts has been doing for a while now, where we talk to influential people who have been doing great things with art in Iowa City. Today, I'm speaking with Creighton Gaynor, and we're going to learn a whole bunch more about him. Is that okay?
Sounds good to me.
All right, so I wanna start at the beginning. Like when did you start playing music? Maybe you didn't know that you wanted to do this for the rest of your life, but when did it start?
You know, for me, it kind of goes back to, like a lot of people, the first instrument or whatever I remember playing was in elementary school, you know, with the recorders and the Orff instruments and all that kind of good stuff. That was my first introduction to it, to actually playing stuff. So, you know, like a lot of people, it was born kind of back then. Honestly, though, the motivation or the real sinking in of music, I really think started before that, when I was like a toddler. Back when I lived in New York, my mother got to stay home with me for a little bit before she had to go back to work, and she would play piano a lot of times in the music room, and I would just be able to sit on the carpet and listen to her play. So I think that's really where it started.
I love it. When we have those people in our lives that we love that are doing something like that, it's so easy to grasp onto it. So yeah, I'm not surprised at all that that's where it started.
Absolutely.
If everyone doesn't know, you're mostly a percussionist,
yes,
you know, with drums and all that. When did that enter your life?
So, okay, here's the scoop with me, right? All the music stuff, Orff instruments, recorder, all that kind of business. My first actual instrument that I played, like in a band, I'm gonna actually do this and be in a band and work with the director and everything, was oboe.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Cool.
That was my first instrument. And I came on that because, like, I wanted to do something different. I wanted to be a little bit unique. You know, my sister played viola and piano, my brother played sax and cello, and I wanted to do something different. So French horn was a little bit too weird, so I went with oboe, and that was kind of fun. And then after that, I played that for a bit, then moved to tenor saxophone. And then at a certain point, late in my high school career, for whatever reason, I think it was the fact that there are no oboes in marching band. So for marching band, I had to pick up something. They put pretty much the oboe players and people like that in the front ensemble, the pit up front. So that was my first introduction into percussion, and it just kind of went from there.
That's awesome. So from double reeds, single reeds to no reeds.
You got it.
I guess, you know, the moral of the story is we don't need any reeds.
No reeds, that's right. Sorry.
So of course, with especially an instrument like a double reed instrument, you must have had some good teachers. Can you speak about your teachers or mentors at that time that really got your spirit buzzed?
Yeah, for sure. You know, my junior high band teacher, his name was Ed Wasson. Great dude. He was actually a tuba player, and it was just one of those really solid, awesome band directors, the kind that, you know, you like and that really make a difference in your life. He was a nice guy, but he was also, you know, had expectations and communicated them to us well and taught us things and, you know, had some fun and that sort of thing. But it was like, oh, that's cool. I want to continue doing this because of that experience with him. My high school band director, I got to shout her out too, Debbie Shelton back in Kentucky. Another of the same situation. She was just a really solid director, knew her stuff, and was like, she kicked it up a notch because this is high school and, you know, marching band and all this competitions and stuff. So her expectations were set at a high level, and that was okay. You know, either we didn't meet them and had to, you know, suffer under her wrath, or we got our stuff together and met them, and it kind of helped me propel into where I'm at today.
That's wonderful. So you mentioned a little bit, you're originally from Kentucky, or kind of via New York.
Yeah, yeah.
So when did you move to Iowa City?
Iowa City. I moved to Iowa City in 2007. I think it was the beginning of 2007. And I've been here ever since.
Do you remember what brought you here?
At the time, I was moving jobs, you know, and different things were going on. I actually lived in Ames for a long time. after leaving Kentucky, I went to Ames, was there for quite a while, and then moved to Iowa City. Just following dreams. Here I am.
When do you think, did you start playing music in Iowa City, like right away, or how did you get into the scene?
You know, when I moved to Iowa City, I had actually had, my main band is Jumbies. It's a Caribbean band that I have. And that band started a long time ago, basically out of Ames, Des Moines area. That band was still going on when I moved to Iowa City. So I still had some things happening, some momentum. Unfortunately, we lost a few members from that band during that transition. So part of my hitting the ground running in Iowa City was really getting familiar with what the yacht club was all about back then, and going to jams and trying to meet people and musicians to find people to be in my band. I needed people in the band. So I did kind of hit the ground running because I already had a project going, but then I was able to bring in some new people and get a fresh start.
Wonderful. For the youngsters out there, Yacht Club has been Joystick and now Alley Catch. So we're talking about the place under Studio 13.
Yes, thank you.
In that area.
Thank you. Forget about that, yes.
Okay, so you came to Iowa City with this band that already had repertoire, you know, under its belt and stuff like that. How did you make sure that band was going to be successful? What venues did you reach out to first? Who did you talk to about playing in different places or anything like that?
Right on. Well, you know, back then, the yacht club that we were just talking about, that was the joint. So I've reached out to them quite a bit and got into that jam culture that we used to have at the yacht club, the Wednesday night jams, and just the really good, rich community of musicians that was there. That really kind of stuck me into that place, you know. So I really liked it a lot. So, you know, we did work with them. The place that is now called El Rey's has been different places, of course, over the past number of years. I think at that point it was maybe the Blue Moose. Back in the industry days, I kind of reached out and worked with them a little bit. We did a couple of fun kind of specialty shows at the Mill, the old place that unfortunately doesn't exist anymore either. Yeah, I think that was those places. Maybe I think we played at Gabe's. In there as well.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So just talking to you a little bit here, we can already tell that like you're great at creating opportunities. But you don't just create opportunities for yourself. You help others too. Can you talk about stuff you're producing or helping produce?
Yeah. That's been a really fun part of the journey for me. Being a musician has been great, and I'm always will be a musician. I'm going to continue to play in some capacity forever. It was at some point though that I realized, you know, musicians generally like to play, but we don't really necessarily like to do the business side and the booking and all that kind of business. So I kind of, from doing a lot of that with my band, I made some contacts, got the experience so that I was able to work with other people. So I started to look at my future, and I'm like, I think I want to get into this side also. And I started looking for musicians that would make sense for me to work with. And I just started to do that, you know, just kind of picking up folks to see where they were and to figure out what I could do to help them to get to the next step, whatever that was. So sometimes that was really just finding a gig for them, just helping them book some stuff. That's about it. Other times it's booking gigs and stuff, but then also talking about what it is to be a professional musician, you know, and the things that you need to do, the things that you don't do, those little nuances when you're talking to people, and how you carry yourself as a musician if you're going to be a professional. So those sorts of things, and up to, you know, kind of development of bands a little bit, you know, kind of giving them a little bit of input on the creative, not a lot, because the creative side I tend to leave to the artist, because, you know, that's what they do, and I just help them get it out there. But there's a little bit of that too. If there's room for feedback and room for openness, then that's part of it as well. So I've been lucky to do that quite a bit, just in various ways with individual bands. I really started the music business side of it by working with a specific band and helping them, you know, like I said, get to the next stage. Currently, every once in a while, I'll work with an individual artist. I'll sign on with them and I'll help get them a couple things or work out a tour or whatever might need to happen that they need a hand with. I might do for them, and it just kind of goes from there. The biggest thing I'm doing right now, music business wise, is producing events, producing shows. My company that I work under is called Natural Talent Music. And like right now, over the past couple years, I've been developing this series called One World. And it's really about kind of a mixed genre, multicultural setting situation, where the point is to like put different genres of bands together that generally wouldn't be together and are probably gonna be able to claim some sort of specific cultural tie to something in their background, where they're from, their country, something like that. So I've been putting together various shows of that nature. And another series, a group of series shows will be coming out. I usually start in the spring or so and go through the rest of the year. So April, June or so of each year, I start to do some stuff. And I've got another series that's coming out pretty soon from this point, and then we'll just keep on going from there.
That's awesome. I love going to shows where there's different stuff. You know, every music has their a little thing that they do. So sometimes when you watch the same genre band after a while, it's a lot of the same kind of stuff. So I'm glad that you're pushing it forward in that direction.
Yeah, I think.
So what do obviously we're talking about how you're good at creating opportunities for yourself and others, but what about Iowa City has kept you here?
That's a great question. Iowa City's pretty cool because, like, really the simple answer is the art scene. That's really what it's about. I like the fact that even though, and I'm always complaining about how small Iowa City is. I'm always complaining about this. But even with that as a factor, my opinion anyway, there's still so much going on. There's so many things going on, and it's like, I like to get out there and go to stuff. I'm probably a bigger music fan than I am a musician or a music business person or anything. I'm a music fan first, and that's just the way it is. So I like to get out there and see things. So I go out a lot and see as much as I can here, and then of course other places too. But I am the weird thing that happens a lot is, like, I'll, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, social media or something else, I'll be like, that just happened? What? Oh, that happened too? Oh, there was this event over at this place? There's so many things happening that, it's a wonderful thing to have that many things going on that you can feel like you have a full calendar, even as somebody like me who likes to travel and go to festivals in Chicago, St. Louis, or whatever. You can still feel like your plate is full in Iowa City, but there's still so much more that you're missing out on, which is not good because you're missing it, but it's like, hey, next time there's going to be more that I can put on my plate.
That's awesome.
I like that a lot.
I think that brings me to my next question of, like, why do you think live music is important? We'll start with you first. Like, why is it important for you?
For me, I would say it's all about the experience, really. Like, one, music is really special. It's just special. And it's hard for me to put into words what that really means, but I've had so many experiences by myself, as well as with a crowd or with a group of friends or my partner or whatever, that I can't put it into words. It's just like, it either transports me somewhere or grounds me or opens up my creative side or brings me back to a factual point in time. I mean, there's just so many things with music that it's difficult for me to put it into the words, but really, I guess it goes down to the experience and really, to be honest, I like all sorts of music. Like, I can find good music in any genre. Now, am I necessarily a country music fan? Like, do I have a big catalog of country music at my house? No. Have I bought a couple country albums? Yeah. Am I a big fan of heavy metal music? No, I'm not a connoisseur, but have I bought a couple of things? Yeah. Have I been to a couple of shows? Yeah. So I like to spread it out quite a bit. And the thing that I've found with the fact that there's something good you can find in every genre, I really appreciate good songwriting. Like, I really appreciate well-written lyrics. So, you know, a lot of the things that I hear, I'm like, well, you're not really saying anything. So why am I listening to you, you know? So when you give me a song that has well-crafted lyrics and like the music is just interesting, and that's totally subjective, of course, but it's just interesting, whatever that means for me. That's what I really like about music.
All right, now you got to put yourself in someone else's shoes. This person is not a musician. Why is live music important for that person?
Again, it goes to the experience for me. And that's one of the big reasons I'm doing this One World thing. I personally have had so many awesome experiences at shows, and past just what I'm seeing on stage. It's like the interactions with people, the memories, the camaraderie, the fun, that all goes into the experience. So like, especially if you're looking at a person who isn't necessarily a musician or whatever, maybe new to town, or maybe looking to meet people, or just a social person or whatever, live music, that setting is so good for making connections and just having joy in your life, you know. And for the most part, live music settings are generally joyful. So generally you have a pretty good chance of meeting other joyful people in joyful settings, which helps social stuff just go much better.
That's a great answer. So how about, can you tell us about a favorite Iowa City performance that you weren't playing in?
That wasn't playing in. Okay. Let's see. So I have to start with any time that I've been able to see public property in Iowa City. This is a band kind of from back in the day, but it's like the Police and Bob Marley and public property for me. You know, they're way up there. So I've seen them a couple times in town, and it's been great. I'm hoping that they'll do a reunion show sometime, because I just love that band. There was a show as part of the Feed Me Weird Things series it was at the Trumpet Blossom, and it was this African Afrobeat fusion thing. The lead's name was Baba Commandant. I had never heard of him before, but it was just, the music was so moving, and it was so unique as well, because I mean, we don't really get hardly any African music or African fusions at all. So to have this sort of thing, different instrumentation, just a different approach to it, and again, joyful and happy. Everybody was both amazed and happy, you know. So that for me was a really, really good one.
Sweet. What about one that you did play in?
One that I did play in. I'm gonna say probably the first gig that I was in a band called the Fez for a bit, and you know, I usually lean toward original music. Like my Caribbean band, we play mostly original music. We've got a few CDs and stuff like that. We play covers too, but I like original music. The Fez was different for me because it was a tribute band. I mean, we were playing Steely Dan music, only Steely Dan, all Steely Dan all the time, and it's weird for me to take credit sort of for this, because in that band, truly, I am just a percussionist. There were 15 people in that band. I was in the back. People didn't even know I was in the band some of the time, right? But I was there, and I was doing my thing. The first time we played I want to say it was at Jazz Fest. It was like on the side stage of Jazz Fest or something like that. And that might have been our first gig or maybe our second. I can't remember. But it was electric. I mean, people hadn't heard us before. They had no idea. But somehow there was still a huge crowd, and it just kind of kept growing bigger as they heard what we were doing. And that was just pretty special. It's pretty special.
Awesome.
People that really like Steely Dan really liked that band. And that was a huge feather in our cap because that meant we were doing it right.
Let's go back to your musical side just a little bit. So did you come to percussion, like auxiliary percussion first, or were you on the drum set? You talked a little bit about doing a drum line or whatever in high school.
Yeah. That's a good question. So for me, started the drumline thing in high school. I think I played, actually switched to drums my senior year of high school. I played quads in the marching band, and then went back to sax for the rest of the year. When I got to college, I continued to play saxophone. I played saxophone in the pep band a little bit, women's pep band. It was a good time. But I took my percussion experience and joined percussion ensemble at my school. I wasn't a major, nothing like that. I just wanted to keep on playing drums. So I did that. Then I also joined the marching band and made the drum line. So as far as my professional percussion career, it really did start with marching percussion. That's where it's at, along with the percussion ensemble stuff that kind of really, percussion ensemble opened up my mind so much to what percussion really could be. It was an amazing experience, and that helped me. That, along with another amazing mentor of mine, Dr. Barry Larkin, the late Dr. Barry Larkin, he passed away a while ago. He was my percussion instructor at Iowa State as I was a major. And what he brought to the table and just being around that whole thing was just a really nice flowering of what I understood about music and what the possibilities were. And a big shout out to Michael Geary, because he was actually the percussion instructor there my first couple of years. So that first percussion ensemble experience I was talking about, that was with him. So that, you know, his approach and just his personality were awesome. It's supportive and fantastic. And I, again, got to just kind of blossom and go from there. And then when I decided to be a percussion major, it's like, well, you have to learn everything. So, you know, I can play all the stuff. You know, if you put me behind a drum kit, I can play it. But I never really developed into a drum set player, really. I can play marimba and xylophone and timpani and all that kind of stuff. It's great. I just don't do it very, very often. So through that, did that whole program, realized, you know, I like playing music. I don't want to study music anymore. I kind of didn't go to grad school like I thought I would. And I just kind of got out of that and went off and did other things, thought about teaching and those things. And eventually came back to, I really want to play more percussion. A friend of mine who had gone away to school to learn steel pan came back in town. I had just kind of gotten into the scene, looking to see what's out there and what people play and what they do. He was like, let's start a band. And I was like, all right, let's start a band. What can I do? Yeah, percussion sounds good. Let me pick up some congas and do this. Yeah, that'll make sense. And that's really what started it. You know, at that point, before playing in that band, I wasn't really playing out hardly at all. And it was just kind of the motivation to get something started that made me think of like, okay, I want to do this. What of the things that I can do, what makes the most sense for this? And that's what it was. And I've just kind of stuck with that.
That's awesome. Wonderful. You and I kind of share this. We both kind of play an instrument when it's played really, really well. Not very many people notice it. Can you talk us through your process of how, because auxiliary percussion, you know, there's usually another percussionist, drum set usually, or something like that there. Yeah. What's your process, or maybe you can drop some names of people you think of when you're thinking about what you can layer on top of something that could be done without you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's it's an interesting place to be because it's like there is that. There's plenty of bands without an auxiliary percussionist, so you know that it can be done. So I try to find either the spaces to fit in, or like this came about, I think in the Fez, somebody mentioned it as the sprinkle on top. So depending on the situation, the ensemble, I'm probably trying to like key in with the drummer, figure out what that person's doing, and figure out what I can do that's like similar, but a little bit different, that locks in a way that makes people do things with their body. They don't even realize that this is going on. I love that. I love that. So to find that spot in there is really cool. And then, you know, sometimes you just need a triangle on something. You know, you need some wind chimes to sprinkle over the top and just make it flourish or bloom a certain way. So it just kind of depends on what the ensemble needs at that point, and I do it. And I've gotten to play with so many awesome drummers just in Iowa City, that I think everybody that I've played with, you know, all the people, are really good at leaving space. You know, I've played with very few, and it may be because it doesn't last very long. I play with very few drummers who are just way too verbose. Like they have to play everything all the time. That's not my style. You know, I like to communicate. I like to have a communication. I really like to have a communication with the bass player too, to tell you the truth, because the drums and the bass are almost linked. Percussion is the same sort of thing. It's got to be part of that thing that's going on, or it's wind chimes and whatever over the top, whatever. But like, you know, there are people like Nate Worth from Snarky Puppy. If you ever watch him play, I mean, Sput and all the other guys are just doing all the stuff, right? And Nate's not Giovanni Hidalgoing it. He's not going crazy on anything, but everything he plays is super tasty. It's like just a couple of notes, whatever, simple pattern, but they're in exactly the right place at exactly the right time, you know? And whatever he's doing, most likely when he does that, Sput or whoever else he's drumming with is gonna either pick up on that or do something also, or open it up, something, you know, there's communication going on. So stuff playing like that I really appreciate. One of my favorite percussionists right now is Taku Hirano. He's played with a lot of people, Fleetwood Mac and all sorts of people. Nice dude. Got to see him at a percussion convention a few months ago, and it was just great to be able to talk to him. And honestly, I have to give a big shout out, because if people see me playing I play tambourine a certain way sometimes. Like there's normal tambourine playing, you know, whatever. But if you're like, especially with a big group, 15-piece ensemble or something like that, sometimes you got to play really, really, really loud, right? So he showed me, well, he didn't show me, he was at this workshop, showed me a certain technique to do, a different way of playing tambourine that I had never experienced before. I was like, I'm kind of old, and I've never seen that before. I'm going to steal that. So, you know, that's another person that I really appreciate what he does and how he does it. And again, his approach, he's so far out of my league as a player, it's not even funny. I mean, the technique that he has is just, I'll never be able to be that good. But I can still approach what he's doing based on his feel and, again, where he fits in and what kind of sparkle he puts on and how he plays things.
It's my humble opinion that the Hey Arnold theme song would be lacking without that triangle. So auxiliary percussionists are close to my heart.
I appreciate hearing that.
All right, back to Iowa City. You're a young person, perhaps a student. You're new to Iowa City. Where should you go first? You're a music lover. Where should we go first?
That's a hard question, because there are, even though we've lost several venues in town and it's really, really hurtful, there are still several places that are on top of the list. We are currently on the wonderful stage of the absolutely fabulous historic Englert Theater. So I would put this place top of the list.
Cool.
This is a great, I've seen so many fantastic performances here. I can't even imagine can't even begin to count them. This has been a really, really great place to see shows. You know, there's other ones too. Hansher, the James is doing great things. I really like what the Black Angel's doing.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, it's a tiny place, you know, whatever, but the vibe is cool. You know,
the mill that
yeah,
back.
exactly. And I feel like every time I've gone there, I run into musicians, and that's when you know, okay,
Yep.
this
That's
is
the hang.
something's going on. Yeah.
All right, I know you probably like all of them, but what's your favorite Iowa City festival?
Iowa City Festival. Oh, Blake. Man, oh man, oh man. I guess I'll stick with things that are currently happening. I would say probably Arts Fest. Summer of the Arts puts on. Probably because it's a variety of music. And I like that festival atmosphere of like, you're gonna hear this type of tune here, and then like 30 minutes later, you're going to hear a completely different sort of genre and another one and another one. So I'd say that one. That's a pretty good one. We like to diversify it up and just kind of bring in some new stuff. And I really appreciate what's happening now. I know Arts Fest has been a certain way for a while, and it's kind of changing a little bit with the types of acts we're bringing in. But back then it was cool, and now it's cool. So I really like that.
Wonderful. All right, so maybe for this next question, you don't have to name your favorite person to be nice to everybody, but maybe there's a certain sound person you want to shout out, because you know that's the backbone of this music stuff. We can't always do it without these people. So who would you like to shout out, the Iowa City favorite for their sound person?
First, I have to thank you for asking that question, because you are so right. Sound people are so important, and I really appreciate you saying that. At my shows, I try to remember to shout out the sound people, like a lot of musicians do, because as a non-musician, if you don't know, sound people make it or they can break it. There's no question about it. I've worked with a couple of really good ones. Currently, I really like working with Alex Body. I know he's the man, everybody knows him, and he's always around, but he's that for a reason. He knows what he's doing, and he always comes correct. He's professional. He takes care of everything you need, and I always feel good on stage. I can hear everything well, and everything seems really cool when he's out running sound.
I'll have to second that. I really love Alex Body as well. Yeah. All right. So what projects are you in right now? Anything new, or still working with the stuff that you've been doing for a while? Give us some shout outs from that area.
Yeah, so my Caribbean band Jumbies is still a thing. We don't play a whole lot, but we do play a lot. When we play, it's mostly like in the spring, summer, fall sort of thing. We definitely don't do anything in the winter.
Yep.
None of that. Just had a rehearsal on Sunday, so that's good. Working on some new stuff. We do have a couple of CDs that we put out over the years. But this version of the band, we've been writing some tunes, and we're looking to get back in the studio and put out, I don't know if it'll be the first two were like, 10, 11 songs a piece. This one might be a little bit shorter, might be more of an EP sort of thing, but we'll see. We've got maybe 5 tunes right now that we want to record. So that's going on with Jumbies. I am a part-time-ish member of Heads in Motion, the Talking Heads tribute band out of the Quad Cities. I only play a little bit with them because they have really a main percussionist and another person that can sit in, but I get to play a little bit, so I really appreciate that. I'm currently working on another project with my partner Katie. We're going to put something together, but it's not out yet. She's been writing a lot of stuff, and she'll do some of that stuff on her own, but then some of that stuff will be coming into this project that we're working on. There's no name for it. There's nothing like that yet. It's just in the ether stages of talking and jotting down some ideas and talking to people who might be interested in coming into play.
Cool.
So
Just art right now.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Wonderful.
That's right.
All right, so you're a wonderful person, a wonderful, humble person. So this next question might be hard, but I'm going to give you the space to answer it as honestly as you can. What do you hope to be remembered for here in Iowa City with your work that you're doing?
I hope to be remembered as a person who helped bring people together. I think that's really what it's about. And it really goes back to, I mean, I did my first multicultural diversity, let's all get along sort of thing, probably my junior year of high school. That's when I kind of started this whole journey. And it's gone through various parts of my life. Personally, music, professionally, I've done various things that are basically built to bring us together in positive ways. So I think that's the thing that I would hope to be remembered for, is somebody who made things better by helping people come together in positive settings that nurture positive relationships.
Wonderful. Well, from my POV, you're doing that already. We're headed in the right direction. So
Trying.
Thank you so much, Creighton, for all that you've done for Iowa City and for me. You know, you've definitely helped me in my journey here in creating art.
Right on, man.
So thank you, Creighton, and thank you, Some of the Arts. That concludes our creative conversation.